I felt this was needed because I have worked as a speechwriter for about 10 years in a very isolated way. In America, they analyse the way people write and the way you can be creative, and they take it extremely seriously, whereas England is quite old-fashioned in that people are expected to sort of acquire these skills effortlessly along the way.
In other countries, I think speechwriting is a fairly well-established profession, so there's no reason why that shouldn't be the case in Britain.
Well, to be honest, I don't think I've been to an event quite like this before, and I think it's a fantastic idea.
I mean, I can't compare it to anything. I think it's so fresh and new and exciting.
Well, it's the first of its kind, and I think it's long overdue.
Speakers today have explained that speaking is different from writing. People confuse writing with speaking, and if you know these basic techniques, you'll transform the way you communicate.
So the question is, why are there so few professional speechwriters or connected professionals?
I agree with the premise given in the previous presentation that actually a lot of the focus is on presentational skills, body language, tone, you feel very self-conscious and all that sort of thing. Whereas what the focus today has been about is the power of words, and that I think is a bit of a forgotten art. And again, Max has been teaching on these subjects for years and years and years.
So there's a demand for speechwriters. In industry, I've estimated that the cost to British industry of people attending boring presentations is in excess of £8 billion a year.
It's just very reassuring to to be amongst friends and to learn a bit more about your craft and to realise that what you're doing is okay.
The content has been fabulous.
It is a craft. It's about bringing it together with its involving structure, the things that make it memorable.
All the emphasis in recent years has been all about presentation.
He gets training in how to walk up and down the stage.
Actually, in other words, are valuable, and that's a good lesson to get out of today.
I just want to sort of draw attention to the fact that was mentioned earlier today, that words, the way words are used, is extremely important.
Speechwriting can run the risk of being quite insular.
Actually, we're quite social beings, so it's good to get out and out amongst friends.
I'm going to take away a feeling of collaboration and new friendships and new interests and new connections.
Trust in politicians is very low. People want to hear what politicians have got to say, and they want to hear them say it in a credible way.
And politicians just don't seem to get that times have changed.
There is a new need and a demand for a more elaborate art of speaking, for people to actually be trained in what to say and how to say it.
There is a lot more to speech writing and speech production than even I thought.
That's often the case in conferences. By 1 o'clock, you're dying for a drink and a sandwich, and then you find an excuse to go home. I'll be here till the very last minute.
It's been a real broad mix of people who are trainers and speechwriters, and there's even someone else from a charity here. So
the value for the practitioner to be able to speak with people who study this from a theoretical point of view, and for the people who study it academically to see what people in practice are really doing.
In some ways, it's almost like a best-kept secret which we're discovering and the outside world doesn't know about.
There is a demand for decent speeches, and that means there's a demand for speechwriters.
And I hope next year that many of my students will join me, because I will be here certainly again next year.
I mean, there are, I understand, 5,000 or more trainers and coaches around, and we've probably got 10 or 8 here today. They should all be here.
Anyone who's interested in communication and in thinking.
Business people should make time out. There should be more politicians here. There should be anybody who has to make a speech, and making a speech to impress and persuade should be here.